Hello, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Command Your Brand podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Slate, and we bring to you every week, twice a week, founders, visionaries, and incredible entrepreneurs that are doing big things. And our guest today is somebody in the health space, but with a little bit of a different viewpoint on health, which is really interesting to me. Our guest today is Richelle Brooks, and she's a partner and the C.O.O. in the Aesthetics and Wellness Center, Balanced Aesthetics Medspa. So we're going to talk a lot about different aspects of wellness on the outside and how that makes people feel better on the inside. This is a really interesting conversation. Richelle is a very cool person, and I definitely enjoyed this. So everyone, without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Richelle Brooks. Hey, what is up, everybody? Jeremy here, and I'm very excited for the interview that we have today because we're going to be getting into a very interesting world of, like looking younger, looking healthier, and really handling the aesthetic side of the body. So I'm very excited to chat with our guest today, Richelle Brooks. She is a partner in Balanced Aesthetics Medspa. Richelle, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited as well.
So I'm curious for you, how did you get into this line of work? Because it is a very new, emerging, world, and I'm curious how you got into it.
Yeah, so right out of undergrad, I actually coordinated for a spa, and I fell in love with the confidence that people would walk out of after leaving there.
Mm.
Um, And then my background is in business. So my master's is in business and healthcare admin. So
Mm-hmm.
I combined the two and always wanted to open my own med spa. However, there was a unique business model that was to be made in combining the wellness and the aesthetics worlds into one. So that's what we did because we believe that your health, including aesthetics, starts on the inside.
Mm.
And then you work your way out. So we basically combined the two, myself and my two partners, and here we are. But yeah, I'm in love with my career, which not many can say. So I've gotten very lucky with that.
So I'm curious for you. It is a very competitive field, and I guess for you guys in terms of starting this business, like how have you stayed ahead of the competition, and how have you also separated yourself? Because I know that it can be difficult, like in a very competitive field like you're in.
Right, absolutely. Well, so we are working on it still every day. It's a decision that you have to make every single day when you wake up to compete, to find different innovative ways to not only offer services, but also to educate people on who you are and the value that you can provide to their life. And
Mm.
you're right. So I'm in Atlanta, and it's a very saturated market with med spas and aesthetics. However, it is not a very saturated market with the wellness, specifically peptide therapy, hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy. So we found that an edge would be by combining the two, wellness and aesthetics. And honestly, I mean, they go hand in hand. So
Yeah.
the wellness portion, the aesthetics portion, all of your target clients for each industry have the same end goal. They all want to just look and feel a little bit better. And the sad thing is that most people don't realize that what their normal is, how they normally feel every day,
Mm-hmm.
is far under what we have the technology, the resources to provide to them so that they can feel even better. So their normal can be an excellent normal rather than a average normal. So yeah.
Very cool. And in terms of like, operating your business during the pandemic, like what has that been like as well? Because not only do you have to worry about restrictions and things like that, but you're also trying to grow a business. And I'm curious what that experience has been like for you.
Right. Well, so we actually opened our business in the middle of the pandemic 7 months ago, which was a decision that we made after a bit of going back and forth, whether or not to push it and wait till later or to go ahead and open it up. Um, And we basically came to the conclusion that the one thing that people need right now is to feel better,
Mm-hmm.
um, inside and confidence wise.
Yeah.
And a lot of people at this time, they're having more time than ever to spend at home alone. And they're focusing on and judging themselves on their per se flaws.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we come into the picture so that we can help them get to the point that they want to be at so that they no longer are feeling down on themselves. But yeah, operating it day to day with the pandemic is tough for sure. We do telemedicine, which has been really helpful,
Mm-hmm.
because we can have our providers consult through the telemedicine.
Mm-hmm.
That's really been a game changer, honestly. But with the people coming into our med spa and our clinic, we take all of the precautions that the CDC states that we need to take, but we also at the same time don't want to get too far away from normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to still keep the feel of what it was. God, it feels so weird to say this. 2 years ago, though, when the world was.
That's the wild part. I haven't been on an airplane in 18 months. I'm like, this is odd.
Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Well, I have had to fly for business some. So I have been on an airplane. But I mean, just everything, it's a completely different way of living than anyone that's ever lived before that's alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be as normal as possible while still being safe.
Mm-hmm.
So of course we do the mask, the hand sanitizer. Each room is thoroughly sanitized after each patient. But at the same time, I live in Georgia, so we don't have a mandated mask law inside the businesses. We can make our own decisions on that.
Mm-hmm.
So when someone comes in, and majority of us have been vaccinated, or we actually have rapid tests on hand that we can even take and find out within 5 to 7 minutes.
It's interesting because, like, with even what you're saying, like it's I think in some ways allowed for businesses to innovate, right? Like it's allowed for you to grow in different areas. Like I know this isn't as great of an example as what you do, but I had to go to the vet this morning, and you pull in and they have the parking spots numbered, and you call the phone number. They talk to the person at the front desk, you have your appointment, and then they let you know, like, okay, so the vet will be out shortly to get your animal. Like, it was really streamlined. So I think in some ways we've really been forced to innovate, which I think is cool as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that we've actually become more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about this the other day. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how their entire staff is remote right now, but their productivity level has escalated.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because, when you're at home and you're not constantly watching for what everyone else is doing, comparing yourself, and just thinking about the moment you can get home and if your boss is going to walk in the door, and really just work at your own pace and also in your own way, then that's a lot more effective of a model than just a standard model. Everyone comes in, works at their desk from 9 to 5 with an hour-long lunch break, and then goes home. So I think you're absolutely right. It's definitely made us more creative creatures and definitely more efficient in a lot of ways.
Well, I want to talk a little bit more about what you do. And you did kind of reference that in a couple areas. And you said one of the things that, you do is peptide therapy. So I'm curious to find out a little bit more about, what that is and how that works.
Right. Absolutely. So when we started the business, we wanted to go into it, and our goal was, or we went into it with a goal of being the peptide leaders in Georgia. And peptides are amazing little pieces of proteins, amino acids that can honestly change your life. And it's something that the general public hasn't been introduced to. they may have heard of it here or there, and it's usually orals that they hear about. But the kind of peptide therapy that we do is customized specifically for each of the patients.
Mm-hmm.
And we treat all sorts of conditions, from anti-aging to hair loss to weight management to optimal health to cognitive function, sleep wellness, sexual wellness. The list goes on and on. But it's a very effective method of giving your body back something that it used to produce when it was younger. A lot of it is growth hormone.
Mm-hmm.
And really just helping your body to work at its top level for as long as possible, but in a natural and safe way.
So you mentioned like in the past, people have been familiar with the oral type. So is this like an injectable, or how does this process differ?
Yeah, so there are some oral peptides, like there's several. Most of them you can find orally.
Mm-hmm.
The bioavailability, how effective the peptide is in your body, is a lot less when you take it orally than if you do
Mm-hmm.
it intramuscularly. So
That's a good point too, because that's how I've always described like
yeah,
vitamins, or people are talking about that. Like I think people
exactly.
don't realize when you're getting like a hard tack vitamin, this is, like I said, it's not the same as what you do, but just when describing bioavailability, like your body has to now digest that, then figure out what to do with it, and you lose a lot of what you're getting in that digestion process. So when you're talking about the bioavailability of these peptides, they're in a way the body can better absorb them, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The form that it's in is a liquid. We use an amazing compounding pharmacy, which we searched high and low to make sure that we were getting the absolute best quality that you possibly could.
Mm-hmm.
The thing you have to be careful about with oral peptides, not only the bioavailability is, but that there are a lot of companies out there that are selling oral peptides online.
Mm-hmm.
And you really need to be cognizant about what the ingredients say, what is in the peptides. And they're selling them for pretty high rates too, because now that it is something that's coming out more and more people are more excited about, it's becoming more of a trend, if you will. So people are willing to spend a lot more money and also just don't realize. But if they were, just to go to a great clinic near them and get prescribed a peptide that is intramuscular, then they're going to see the results a lot faster. It's going to be a lot safer. So I would definitely advise that.
So at the same time, like the way body contouring is done has changed a lot, right? Like we're all used to, the older ways of people talking about it, such as fat elimination and stuff like that. And you guys are actually taking a very different spin on this. So I'd love to hear about, how that has changed for you, and kind of, I guess, the new method and what that looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So body contouring, body image is a huge thing with someone's confidence. And the problem that the old aesthetics providers have is that they would do treatments that had a very low ROI for the patient,
Mm-hmm.
unless you did a ridiculous amount of treatments and you also changed 10 other things in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we researched and found a company that had a different kind of body contouring, muscle toning and fat elimination. And we purchased those two machines, and that's what we use. But one of them is a radio frequency fat elimination machine. So it actually goes in and permanently kills the fat cells in the area of treatment. And then radio frequency, anytime you hear that word in aesthetics, that can be equivalent to skin tightening. So not only is it killing the fat cells in the treatment area, but it's also tightening the skin at the same time. So, and the clinical papers, the white papers on it are extensive. It's a highly effective treatment. And then the muscle toning treatment that we do is a great way to just add that extra little oomph to your workout.
Mm-hmm.
or also kickstart you as well. I mean, we have all different sorts of clients, from bodybuilders to someone who hasn't worked out in 3 years to a 20-year-old who works out 3 days a week and just wants a little extra something.
Mm-hmm.
So that treatment that we have uses electromagnetic energy, and it is highly effective as well. You can definitely feel your muscles burning during the treatment. It feels like the most intense workout you have ever done. But, if you aren't feeling it, it's probably not working. So I like that I can feel it, but it is intense. I will say that.
So I guess in terms of like, why you do what you do and what you see in people, like I feel like when people look at the aesthetics injury, they think of so much about it being physical and being what you see and what you
Right.
see that way. But at least in my viewpoint, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, I feel like a lot of it is what for what you mentally do for somebody, right? Like how they walk away, how they feel better, how they carry themselves. So I'm curious for you, like, why do you do what you do?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the mental aspect of it, the confidence level that we help to give back to people is the only reason that I do what I do. Mentally, that unfortunately starts a lot with how you see yourself and your perspective of yourself. And, not one person in this entire world has the same perspective as you do, nor do you have the same perspective as them. So, unfortunately, a lot of people have issues with how they look, and we always say that the aesthetics is the cherry on top to
Mm-hmm.
help push the person to get that little bit of confidence that they need to start taking care of themselves better in all aspects, especially on the inside. But I mean, we have patients that come in and it is something that is really affecting their life. And it's just physical. It's just the shells we walk around in on this earth. But for them, it's everything. It's their entire life. And so if we're able to provide them a treatment plan with aesthetics and help them to look better on the outside so that we can continue the work with them, then there's nothing more rewarding than that.
That's awesome. Well, Richelle, I've really enjoyed this today. For the people listening, if they want to connect with you and they want to learn more about what you're doing, where's going to be the best place for them to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually, if you're interested in the wellness portion, we actually have a quiz on our website. It's just www.balanced with a D, aesthetics, AESTHETICS medspa.com. And right there on the homepage, you will see a button that says wellness quiz. And it's just a short 5-question quiz. But if you want to fill that out, then one of our providers can actually contact you about getting you on a peptide regimen, because we do telemedicine. So it doesn't even matter where you are.
Very cool. Richelle Brooks, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.